Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. Yes, it's Sunday night. I wanted to do this each and every Sunday. Last Sunday, I was not able to because I had a tooth extracted. So, good times indeed. I'm just trying to get the chat up. Give me 1 second, chat. I don't know why it looks like it's taking so long to load. Let me just minimize it. Top chat. All right, I think we are good. All right, but yes, last Sunday I actually had a tooth extracted. I was in major tooth pain Friday, Saturday of last week. I got an emergency dentist visit. The tooth was infected. It had a cyst on the root and it had to get extracted. So obviously, I did not go online for a live last Sunday, so I wanted to come back and make sure to do it this week for talk some Week 13 NFL. Almost all the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games already finished. Man, sorry about that. I really thought the Chiefs were going to pull it out. We're not able to, but don't worry, because I'd almost rather lose than have this score, right? Oh, man. Yeah, my Giants could only pull out the tie. And I even told my friend, I texted him right before the end of the first half. I'm like, watch, them playing conservative to end the first half is going to cost them. And lo and behold, that is what happened. 20-20 tie. Ugh. What do they used to say about ties? It's like kissing your sister or kissing your cousin. Something like that. That's how a tie feels. Giants 7-4-1. Just I guess a half game ahead of the Washington Commanders. Yeah, they both did need the tie. It was a huge game for both. And unfortunately, if the Seahawks had lost, that would have been huge. But the Seahawks pulled it out at the end against a Rams team, which is in complete shambles. But again, Saquon Barkley, just 3.5 yards per carry. That's really 3 straight games where he hasn't necessarily had a extremely productive game. Yes, he did have a rushing touchdown. But otherwise, they could not stop Terry McLaurin. 8 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Their run defense is just bad. And the magic of Brian Daboll, don't get me wrong, he's still proven to be a great coach, but it's starting to rub off a little bit. It's 3 straight games we haven't won. And next Sunday, who do we got? The Philadelphia Eagles. The same Philadelphia Eagles team. Let's get to that one. Well, I will say Jalen Hurts definitely helped me in fantasy. That'll be now my 7th straight win in fantasy. Started 3-3. Now I'm going to be 10-3. And the Eagles had a little bit like a 2-week period where they were struggling. Lost to the Commanders. Barely beat the Colts, but now they seem to be clicking on all cylinders again. 35-10 against a pretty good Tennessee Titans team. Titans play in a bad division. How do I get rid of these? Let me just turn the volume off. But yes, Titans should still win their division, but Eagles just completely dominated, even with no running game, 67 yards rushing. But again, Jalen Hurts, 29 for 39, 380 yards passing. Why can't it mute? How do I get rid of these? Let me pause it. But then when I go to another one, is it going to do it again? Ugh, frustrating. Anyhow, yes, again, let me try again. Jalen Hurts won an outstanding game, and A.J. Brown against his former team really showed up. 8 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devonta Smith, 5 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. The Eagles' one weakness much of the season was their run defense. What do? They add Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. What does Derrick Henry do today? Just 11 carries for 30 yards, so completely shut down. And again, Eagles definitely look like the best team in the NFL. Could have been a debate, and sorry I got to bring this up, but um, with the Chiefs losing to the Cincinnati Bengals 27 to 24. Oh, and my Knicks are up 10. I actually have the Knicks game on in my iPad. They're up 10 with 3:30 left in the third quarter. Let's see if they could hold it. But yes, the Chiefs were not able to pull it out. The Bengals outscored them 10-0 in the fourth quarter to pull out the 27-24 win. Chiefs, oh my gosh, how do I shut off these ads? All right. I don't recall this happening last time I went live, where an ad would play every single time. But anyhow, Chiefs were trying to avenge their postseason loss from last season. Looked like they were going to do it, but in the end, the Bengals pulled it out. I believe Chris Evans. Was it Chris? Not Chris. Yes, Chris Evans' touchdown reception in the fourth quarter was the difference. Jamar Chase coming back from missing 3 games, I believe. 7 catches, 97 yards. Samaje Perine, guy I also started my fantasy football league. Very productive whenever Joe Mixon's out. Arguably, they don't miss a beat even with Joe Mixon out. Isaiah Pacheco did get a rushing touchdown from my alma mater of Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights. Terrible college football team. Even Pacheco averaged like 3.5 yards per carry for Rutgers because they can't block or do anything. But in the NFL, he's having much more success. Kelsey kind of held in check, 4 catches for 56 yards. I actually read an article on CBS Sports yesterday where they were comparing him to the best tight ends in NFL history. I know he has the most catches, most receiving yards in like the first, 120 games, however many games he's played. It's going to be hard for him to overpass Tony Gonzalez for most catches by a tight end, or Antonio Gates most touchdowns by a tight end, but still a great career. Denver Broncos, again, can't score 18 points. What would their record be now if they'd scored 18 points in every game? 10-2, 11-1, something like that. Instead, they are 3-9. Lamar Jackson exited the game early on a sack. Honestly, when I saw the replay, it didn't look that bad, but apparently it's a knee injury. Again, not expected to miss the season. That's what John Harbaugh said after the game. But again, Russell Wilson and the Broncos could get no offense going. Just 3 field goals. 11-1 if they were to score 18 points in every game. And of course, here comes an ad. I'm going to figure this out next time I go live, how to not have that happen. Tyler Huntley, 27 of 32, but did not get them into the end zone until late in the game. Scored on a run. And Tyler Huntley was a pretty good backup quarterback last season for the Ravens, performed admirably, but I think they went something like 1-4 without Lamar Jackson. And man, if this Lamar Jackson injury, Harbaugh did say it wouldn't be season-ending, but I don't think there's really any confirmations yet. Man, would that hurt, though, because, he's kind of betting on himself. He wants that fully guaranteed deal, kind of like Deshaun Watson got. Nobody else has really gotten it except maybe him and Kirk Cousins. Ravens really don't want to do it, and, he doesn't even have an agent. He's doing everything himself. And if this injury is serious, that's going to be bad news for him and the Ravens, of course, especially with the Bengals winning. This was a huge win for the Ravens, or else the Bengals would be right there with them. And not only that, the Ravens would have to be thinking, they'd have to, without Lamar Jackson, it would have been tough for them to make the playoffs. This game here, Can I say something? Are we? Let me. Oh, okay. So that one's muted. Let me say something. Are we sure that the Lions need a new starting quarterback? Believe they've won what, 4 of their last 5 games now. And Jared, don't look now. Jared Goff is having a pretty good season, and the Lions' offense has not been the problem. 31 of 41 today for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. Take a look at his stats for the season. So if we take a look at his numbers for the year, I'm gonna assume that includes today's game. So 63.7 completion percentage, 2,682 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a 93.5 quarterback rating. If you like QBR, he was 15th in the NFL in QBR. 11th in the NFL in QBR. And they did just get Jamison Williams back, first round pick out of Alabama. Didn't play much, but once he gets back up to speed, Amon-Ra St. Brown, let's look at his numbers. What a season he's having. I feel like this isn't updated. Did he really only have 2 touchdowns going into the game? Maybe he did. I mean, he missed a lot of time. But 65 catches, 716 yards. Let me see. Game log. There we go. Game log. Okay, so it does count that. But he's got 2 games with at least 10 catches. And no, he's got 6 touchdowns. So this is not counting today's game. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's so many good wide receivers in the NFL. But could he be considered a top 10 wide receiver? The way he ended last season, Nick's still up 8, 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And the way he's performing this season, he's a borderline top 10 wide receiver. Nice to see DeAndre Swift get some action. I actually benched him in fantasy, but it's not going to hurt me because I'm still going to win. First time I benched him in a while. But good to see him get some action. He can take it to pay dirt every time he touches the ball. Christian Kirk also having a good season for Jacksonville. What else should we look at? Deshaun Watson's comeback. His first game action in nearly 2 years against the worst team in the NFL, the Houston Texans. Didn't really go as planned, other than the fact that the Browns did win to go to 5-7 to keep their very slim playoff hopes alive. Watson went just 10 of 22 for 131 yards and an interception. They did not have an offensive touchdown. They had 2 defensive touchdowns and a Donovan Peoples-Jones return touchdowns. Yeah, Watson did not play good at all. But if we look at the Texans, you might as well just play Davis Mills because I think Mills is younger than Kyle Allen. We've seen Kyle Allen in the past. He hasn't performed well. And 20 of 39, 2 interceptions, a 3.0 QBR. Absolutely terrible. Was Brandon Cooks out, or did he just not even get a target? Because as you see, Brandon Cooks, I feel bad that he's on this team. But yeah, so 1 game, rusty Deshaun Watson. Probably going to have to win out to have any playoff chances. Jets, Vikings, 27-22. The Vikings win to move to 10-2. Jets performed admirably. 57 passing attempts for Mike White in the loss. 57 passing attempts, but no passing touchdowns. 2 interceptions. Wasn't a great game for Mike White. Still better than Zach Wilson, though. Kirk Cousins didn't do much. Didn't even average 5 yards a reception. 5 yards an attempt. But was enough to get the win. Justin Jefferson, who was covered much of the game by Sauce Gardner, was not extremely productive. 7 catches for 45 yards, but a big touchdown reception in the fourth quarter was part of the reason, the difference in the game. Dalvin Cook, 86 yards and a touchdown. Thank you for coming by, Alex. And yes, Minnesota sweeps the East. Yeah, they did. Wow, good point. Yeah, they beat Miami, they beat Buffalo, and they beat the Jets now. Did they play New? I guess they played New England. I don't remember. New England's like a nondescript team to me, even though they're 500. They're not really. It's not really memorable anything they do. T.J. Hawkinson, 4 catches for me in fantasy. But Jets still have playoff chances. We'll take a look at the standings at the end. Did that Raiders game end? Yes, the Raiders game ended. Wow, the Chargers fall to 500. Chargers coming into the season, a lot of people thought they had arguably the deepest roster. I know ESPN had their top 100 players of the season entering the year. The Chargers had the most players on that list. I know they've lost like J.C. Jackson for the season, but it's 500, completely disappointing year for them. They might have to go 4-1 to have a chance at the playoffs. And don't look now, the Raiders have won 3 in a row to move to 5-7. Yes, everyone's darling quarterback. We last time I went live, we had this discussion where I ranked Derek Carr. I said he was probably anywhere from like the 13th to 15th best starting quarterback. I said I guess I'll put Herbert over him, even though I wasn't sure I believed it. And I mean, it was close in comparison to who had the better game. Carr barely completed more than half his passes, but it was enough. And the Raiders win their 3rd in a row. Shout out to Davante Adams. I had him in both my fantasy league and FanDuel. All right, FanDuel's over. I won $2 in a $1 league. I've been winning every week, at least a little something. Davante Adams, 8 catches, 177 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't know if you remember, maybe it was 4 or 5 games ago where Davante Adams had just 1 catch. And let's look at his game log since then. So, yes, 1 catch for 5 yards against the New Orleans Saints in a 24-0 loss, shutout. Since then, 10 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. 9 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. 7 catches, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. 7 catches, 74 yards, and 8 catches, 177 yards for 2 touchdowns. Davante Adams has been awesome. Again, part of the reason I got him, I got Davante Adams, Jalen Hurts, Stephon Diggs, T.J. Hawkinson. Who else do I got on my fantasy team? But I've won 7 in a row in fantasy now. Hoping to win some money in that league. We'll see. Josh Jacobs, what a season he's having. 144 rushing yards and a touchdown. I was actually at the gym this morning, and I was talking to a Raiders fan, and I'm like, both of us have stud running backs that are going to be free agents after the season. What are we going to do with them? Of course, the Giants with Saquon Barkley and the Raiders with Josh Jacobs. The Raiders did not pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option before the season, and Josh Jacobs is probably making them regret that decision. But yes, everyone's darling quarterback, Justin Herbert, falls to 500 on the year. Justin Herbert has still never been over 500 in his career as a quarterback. All right, Knicks up 7 with 11:20 left in the 4th. Let's hope they can prevail. Let's see what games we haven't looked at yet. Packers, Bears. Packers moved to 5-8. Too little, too late. Aaron Rodgers, let them go. Chargers are bad. Not bad, but they really aren't good. Even their wins, they don't blow out teams. They barely win. All right, quickly. Bears have a terrible defense, so for Aaron Rodgers to just throw for 182 yards and a touchdown, um, not really a great performance. I need to get rid of these ads. Driving me nuts. Come on. All right. I did receive a notification that the Packers, because they're going into their bye week, they're going to talk with Aaron Rodgers potentially shutting him down the rest of the season. I kind of hope so. I want to see Jordan Love get some extended action. And I know ESPN swears that like QBR is a better indicator how a quarterback does than quarterback rate than just rating. But this one makes no sense to me. All right, Justin Fields averaged 10.2 yards an attempt. I get it. Had 71 rushing yards. But he threw 2 interceptions, both of them back-breaking interceptions in the fourth quarter as they were outscored 18-0. Yet he had a 90.6 QBR. Wow, good job, 253. All right, I want $2. We'll see how I do in NBA. But a 90.6 QBR when he threw 2 late interceptions that were crucial. I don't. That's why I don't get QBR. So again, Field shows his stuff. I know he's got his dislocated. Come on, Toppin. Dislocated non-throwing shoulder. Didn't really look like it affected him. I'm not sure if Aaron Jones left the game. I'm kind of surprised A.J. Dillon doubled him in carries. 18 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. But again, not a very meaningful game. Bears could end up with the second or third pick in the NFL draft. Of course, it looks like the Texans will surely have the first pick. This game here, we got to see Mr. Irrelevant after Jimmy G left the game. But Mr. Irrelevant helped lead him to a victory, 33-17, throwing for 210 yards and 2 scores. Tua probably had its worst game of the season. I know they were without Terron Armstead, his stud left tackle. 18-33 with 2 picks. No running game whatsoever. 8 rushing attempts the entire game. That's kind of unheard of. Unless you're the Patriots playing in 40-mile-an-hour winds. Of course, another ad. Again, I'm going to have to figure this out for next time. Gonna hear about this one. Oh yeah, big Finns guy over here. Alex in the chat. He's a real life Finns fan. But yeah, Purdy played well. Mr. Irrelevant. I actually made a video on the best Mr. Irrelevants right after the NFL draft. I forget who I had number 1. Wow, I just got a notification. Jimmy G is out for the season. So Jimmy Garoppolo out for the season. We know Trey Lance is out for the season, which means the 49ers will have Brock Purdy the rest of the way. Wow. The 49ers have been clicking on all cylinders. I believe they've won 4 in a row, something like that. And now Jimmy G is out for the year. Brock Purdy looked good for 1 week, but now that teams know that they have to deal with him, will he be able to continue it? That's a huge loss, though. The 49ers were going all in, trading for Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, 66 yards rushing, 8 catches for 80 receiving yards and a touchdown. But man, Jimmy G out for the season. That is huge news. Honestly, in the NFC, other than the Eagles, I might have considered them the most likely team to reach the Super Bowl. You could maybe say Dallas, but wow, I really can't say that now. I mean, who knows? Maybe Brock Purdy has a Kurt Warner-like rise to the top, but of course, that's few and far between. But huge news just coming. Brock Purdy will be the starting quarterback the rest of the season. I don't know who the 49ers have on their practice squad, if anyone. Who will be their backup? Yes, does that mean Jimmy G is definitely not coming back to the Niners next season? Wow, that is just shocking news. That hurts. That absolutely hurts the 49ers. Again, pretty much we're going all in for the rest of the season by trading for Christian McCaffrey. They did get Trent Williams back today. Wow. Let me see. 49ers practice squad. Let's see. Let's see who their backup quarterback is. If they even have a quarterback on their practice squad. Of course, this isn't their practice squad. All right, let's see. Quarterback. Who do we got? Yeah, see, just Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. Where can I see their instant analysis? That's Miami elevates 2. Come on, 49ers practice squad. That's week 9. See, this mentions it, practice squad. Maybe you got to scroll down to the bottom. Here we go, practice squad. Jacob Eason. Yuck. Wasn't he from Georgia, I believe he played for? Oh, no, Washington. I think he transferred from Georgia. He's actually played this season. Must have been for a different team. But, all right, it's Brock Purdy time for San Francisco. Let's see how they fare. I think the only game I haven't went over is this one. Again, this would have helped the Giants if the Rams were able to surprise the Seahawks. No Matthew Stafford, no Aaron Donald, no Cooper Kupp, no Allen Robinson. They were up late, but the Seahawks got a late touchdown to pull out a 27-23 win. And just like the Commanders, they are just a half game behind the Giants. But both teams would need to pass them in order for the Giants to not make the playoffs. But again, the Giants have the Eagles 2 more times. Wolford performed woeful, 2 interceptions. Cam Akers on my fantasy bench, again, doesn't matter because I won, but 60 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Rams really have no one to throw the ball to. Spread around to everyone. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf showed up to play today. 128 and 127 receiving yards, both with the receiving touchdown. I could have won more in FanDuel this week had Kenneth Walker III not left the game in the first quarter. Look, it started off hot, had a 30-yard run, 3 carries, 36 yards, left the game. Not sure how serious the injury is, but that would be bad news for the Seahawks as well. DJ Dallas would become their bell cow back. Tonight we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Dallas Cowboys. Fully expect the Cowboys to easily take care of business in that game. Again, no chance that anyone catches the Tennessee even at 7-5 in the Colts division. And actually, that's a game I didn't do. Falcons, Steelers. Let's look at that real quick because, as we know, Mike Tomlin has been over 500 or at least 500 every season of his career. Looked like that would end, but now they've won 2 in a row to get to 5-7. So if the Steelers were to go 4-1 the rest of the season, he would once again go over 500. Marcus Mariota, I mean, they're 5-8, the Falcons. If the Buccaneers were to lose tomorrow night, they'd still be in the hunt. But Marcus Mariota is not the answer. Can we see Desmond Ridder at this point? I really want to, see him get some game action. I don't even think he's seen the field yet, or if he has, he hasn't seen a meaningful snap yet. And I can't believe the Knicks are going to beat the Cavs. But anyhow, Drake London actually showed up for once. 6 catches, 95 yards. But yeah, definitely expect the Colts to get destroyed by the Cowboys. Then tomorrow night we got the Saints Buccaneers. Expect I'm gonna go Buccaneers in that game, but let's take a look at the standings and then I'll probably head off shortly. Take a look at the standings. Make sure it's even. So, with the Dolphins and Jets losing, the Bills now have a game lead over the Dolphins and a 2 game lead over the Jets, 3 game lead over the Patriots. Did lose to both the Dolphins and the Jets, so both teams currently have the tiebreaker, although they play each other again. The Beard's definitely his prediction of the Bills not making the playoffs definitely seems like it's not going to pan out for him. Again, that's why that Ravens win was so big today. That if they had dropped to 7-5, the Bengals would have taken first place in the division. But they might still have a chance to do so if Lamar Jackson were to miss some time. Again, the Titans have lost 2 in a row to drop to 7-5. But as you can see, they have a big lead over the rest of the division. Colts, Jaguars. As we could see, the Texans must have been eliminated today. So Texans are the first team eliminated, as if we didn't know they were eliminated to begin with, but they are officially eliminated. And the Chiefs still have that 3 game lead in the AFC West. But now they are no longer the number 1 seed in the AFC because they did lose to the Buffalo Bills. Of course, that number 1 seed does get a bye in the first round, but still 5 games to go. So still plenty of time. A lot can happen. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the 2 best records in the NFL belong to the Philadelphia Eagles, 11-1. And the Minnesota Vikings 10-2. Dallas has to win tonight to really still have any chance to win the division. They lost the Eagles the first time around, but they do play them again. Again, the Giants fading, actually being outscored on the season, as you could see, despite their 7-4-1 record. Such a disappointing loss, and it's such a Giants-like. I mean, it was, I believe, 3 or 4 years ago where Graham Gano kicked a 63-yard game-winning field goal as time expired to beat the Giants while he was with the Panthers. And today, from 58 yards, came up short, and it didn't even seem to be close. But the Giants just played conservative at times. It was surprising. Brian Daboll hadn't been like that early on in the year, ever since week 1 when he went for 2 to win the game. And just they played passive today. They really did. They had a 3rd down play in overtime where Texans are first time back-to-back first team eliminated from the playoffs. Oh, gosh, that's awful. And you got to feel bad because who was their coach last year? David Culley, and now Lovie Smith. Those guys just don't stand a chance with the roster they have. But look, they're actually not the only team eliminated. The Chicago Bears have also been eliminated from the postseason with their loss today. So 2 teams are eliminated, 2 teams down, 30 left battling it out for playoff berths. But yeah, we knew they weren't going to make it. We know the Rams aren't going to make it at 3-9. But look at that NFC South. If the Saints were to beat the Buccaneers, first and last place would be a game away from each other. The Bucs would still be leading the division at 5-7. The Saints and Falcons would be a half game back at 5-8, and the Panthers would be a game back at 4-8. What a bad division. We have seen divisions in the past, though, where no team finished over 500. We saw it in the NFC East, 2 seasons ago, where the then known as the Washington football team made the playoffs with, I think, a 7-8-1 record. And I remember the Seahawks made the playoffs under 500. That was the game. Beast mode had that crazy run against the Saints in the postseason. They pulled out the upset win in the first round. Panthers gonna win it. They might. Sam Darnold, can he lead them to that division title? Every team in that division needs the Buccaneers to lose tonight. Falcons could not capitalize As you can see, every team's being outscored. Just a terrible division. Let's just take a look at next week's schedule before I get off. Week 14. So our Thursday night game, the Raiders at the Rams. So in all likelihood, the Raiders should be winning their fourth game in a row. Again, probably too little, too late. But what do you know? They could, you know, this could just be Josh McDaniels getting a chance to keep his job and then being terrible again next season. But we got the Jets at the Bills. Bills looking to avenge their previous game. Browns at Bengals. For the Browns to win, they need vintage Deshaun Watson. Oh my gosh, look at this massacre of a game waiting to happen. The Texans at the Cowboys. Safe to say the Cowboys are probably going to be favored by at least 2 touchdowns. Vikings at Lions. That's not a sure thing for the Vikings. Let me tell you. Again, I'm not so certain that the Lions need to look for a quarterback in the draft, especially because they're not going to have a top 2 pick. And there's a decent chance that the top 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks. And there's no sure thing after Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Jaguars at Titans. Titans really need to get back on track. Eagles at Giants. Oh my gosh. Definitely don't have any expectations for the Giants to win that game. Ravens at Steelers. Again, as I mentioned, Steelers trying to finish over 500 again for Mike Tomlin. I'm going to guess Lamar Jackson will probably be out that game. So definitely have an opportunity. Chiefs at Broncos. Coming off a loss, that's probably the team the Chiefs want to see. The Denver Broncos. Let's ride. Mr. Unlimited. Oh, gosh. Russell Wilson. What a disaster of a year. Buccaneers at 49ers. Again, probably going to see Brock Purdy the rest of the season. Panthers at Seahawks. Seahawks haven't been playing as well the past 2 or 3 games, so maybe the Panthers can win, get back in that playoff hunt, division title hunt. Dolphins at Chargers. Dolphins should win, I would think, the way the Chargers are playing, but that's a pretty good Sunday night game. And Monday night, Patriots at Cardinals, yuck. I'm of the belief that the Patriots should maybe be starting Bailey Zappi. I'm just not a believer in Mac Jones at all, but that should do it. I think I'm going to head off. My Knicks are up by 10 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but it was fun coming back to do a live. Haven't been live in 2 weeks. Again, would like to do these pretty much every Sunday. Maybe find other times too. How is that Monday night? I don't know. I hate some of these night games. I really do. But that's a game I know I'm not staying up for. But appreciate you stopping by. I should be live again next Sunday, probably off a Giants loss. Eagles, Jalen Hurts might throw for 4 touchdowns and run for another 2, but we'll see. As I end all my videos, tell a friend to tell a friend. What's going on? I did see the Eagles win. Jalen Hurts is my fantasy quarterback, so I was happy, but as a Giants fan, I know my Giants are going to lose to the Eagles next Sunday in all likelihood. We've been struggling. The Eagles had that 2-week period where they looked like they were struggling. First losing to the Commanders and then barely beating the Colts. But, now it looks like they're clicking on all cylinders again. The Giants still got the Eagles, both of their matchups. I'm not looking forward to either of them. The Giants, I said before the season, I didn't expect the Giants to win more than 6 games. They're at 7. And honestly, there's a possibility they only win 1 more. Your dad's a Giants fan. Well, I'm going to guess you're going to have bragging rights after next Sunday. Again, Jalen Hurts, probably 4 or 5 touchdowns, I would guess. Uh, but yeah, the Eagles look good. They really do. They should be getting that bye in the NFC. Um, Vikings are the only team within a game of them. I don't expect the Vikings to win out, so they should be getting that bye. But yeah, tough time to be a Giants fan. They gave you hope, but they were barely winning every game, and now it's coming back where they're losing or tying these close games. But I'm gonna head off, watch the end of this Knicks game. They're up 10 with 4.5 minutes to go. Let's hope they don't blow it. Appreciate everyone who stopped by. I'll be back next Sunday for another live talk NFL. Pretty much anything. Do I think the Eagles will go all the way this year? It's the last question I'll answer. Um. Oh man. If I had to guess right now, I would say no. But I also thought their biggest competition in the NFC was the San Francisco 49ers, and now Jimmy G is out for the season. So that's a big blow to San Fran, where maybe now Dallas is their biggest threat in the NFC, maybe Minnesota. So I do think they're the favorites to reach the Super Bowl in the NFC. I do think they're the favorites. I think appreciate it. Do I think I would say my top two teams to if I had to predict two teams that would win the Super Bowl, my top two, I would go Bills and Chiefs. That would just be my top two. But I think Eagles would probably be third. I do think they're the most likely to make it in the NFC, again, especially with Jimmy G out for the season. Dallas, we always know, chokes in the playoffs seemingly every year. We know Kirk Cousins fades in prime time. Who else in the NFC? I mean, Tampa Bay is going to win the NFC South right now they're leading the NFC South only because that division's so bad. The Commanders, the Giants, the Seahawks are the other possible playoff teams. None of them are really a threat. That's me as a Giants fan saying that. So yes, I do. If I had to say, I would probably predict a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl as of now, and probably would pick the Bills to win. But again, 5 weeks left in the season. A lot can happen. But looking forward to these last 5 weeks. Again, appreciate everyone coming by. I will be back again next Sunday. As I end every video, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out. Thank you all.